Salvete omnes! Today we're looking at the first 4 lines of Virgil's Aeneid. Let's get started. Arma viramque cano, Troiae qui primus aboris, Italiam fato profugus, Lavoniaque venit, litora, multum ille et terris jactatus et alto vi superum, saeve memorum unionis ob iram. So if we start from the beginning, cano is our first verb. I sing of arms and a man, who, first from the shores of Troy, came to Italy, shouldn't be a comma there, came to Italy and the Lavinian shores, having been exiled or as an exile by fate. That man, ille, that man, having been tossed much on both the lands and the seas, so we've got et and et, so we want to go both the lands and the sea, by the strength of the gods above, or by the power of the gods above, on account of the angry memory of savage Juno. So, this passage has a lot to unpack. It's just 4 lines, but there's so much stuff in here. So let's start from the beginning and break it down a little bit more. So, as I said, we've got our first verb, cano. This is Virgil speaking here. I sing of arms and a man. Now this phrase here, arma viramque, very important. It refers to a lot of different things. The arma mentioned here refers to weapons. Arms meaning weapons and instruments of war. And this is a form of metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech that you should know, and metonymy is basically an attribute of something standing for something else. So in this case, weapons, arma, are standing for war. So he's pretty much saying, I sing of war and a man. So he's saying, I sing of war, and war can refer to 2 things here. It chiefly refers to the arms and a man part, refers to the Iliad and the Odyssey, because Virgil's Aeneid is pretty much a combination of those 2 set into the life of Aeneas. So Arma refers to the Iliad, which was Homer's epic poem about the Trojan War, and then Viram, a man, refers to Homer's epic poem, the Odyssey, which referred to a man, Odysseus, on his journey. Now in Aeneas' life, how that relates to Virgil's poem, Aeneas also fought in the Trojan War, but chiefly the second part of the poem is the war that Aeneas fights in Latium against Turnus. And then the man portion, the first half, the first 6 books, focus on, they focus on Aeneas' wanderings, because he has to wander all throughout the sea, kind of trailing through Odysseus' path. You know, he has lots of interesting encounters and goes a lot of different places. So it's about the man and the weapons. Now continuing here, we have qui, the man who. This is of course referring to our main man, Aeneas, who first. Now profugus also refers to Aeneas, but let's hold that off for a second. So who first, from the shores of Troy, venit, here's a verb, subject is qui, the man who came to Italy, and, remember we've got que here, que means and, he came to Italy and the Lavinian litora, shores. He came to Italy and the Lavinian shores. Now, Lavinia, this is literally just taken from the woman Lavinia, who was Aeneas' wife whenever he arrived in Troy. She isn't featured very heavily in the Aeneid, but references like this are made to her. So it refers to the land where Aeneas goes in Italy and meets Lavinia. It's her shores, where she's from, and where he ends up marrying her. So the Lavinian shores refers to Italy, and attack Italy, of course, Italy. Now we can look at profugus fato. Now, profugus is pretty much means exiled. So Aeneas exiled by fate. Fate has tossed him out of Troy. Now he's in a wandering exile, forced to start over in a new land. Profugus, exiled by fate. Now down here we've got ille. This is referring to Aeneas again. That man. Iactatus, also agreeing with ille, modifying Aeneas. That man, having been tossed. Here we got a participle, having been tossed. Much. He's been tossed around a whole lot on that sea. So having been tossed much on both the lands and the sea. Terris and alto are both ablatives, as you can tell by the endings. So he's been tossed on the lands and on the sea. I would say that's an ablative of place where on the lands and the sea. Now we've also got over here another ablative. This word's an important one to know. It is vis, it's feminine, and it's an irregular noun. So we is the ablative form, it's third declension. So here it is, having been tossed by the force of the gods above. So I would probably say that's an ablative of means, by means of the force of the gods above. Ablative of cause, maybe, because of the power of the gods above. So the gods are the ones who forced Aeneas to make his journey. It's basically what this is saying. Now, for this clause, we have to go all the way over to the ob first. You can't start over here with this stuff. You have to go over to the preposition. This is something that's a little bit tricky when you first start translating Virgil. He likes to throw his prepositions right into the middle of the clause instead of at the beginning. And you can see that throughout Latin literature, but it's something that you'll notice. So we have the ob over here, but it should really, if you think about it in English, you would expect it to be over here at the beginning of the clause. So this translates, on account of the angry memory of savage Juno. So here we have something else that's interesting. Junonis Saiwai. Now throughout this story, Juno is going to be the chief antagonist that Aeneas has to face when it comes to the gods. Whoopsie. So, cool thing to notice here is that we have a form of synthesis. Synthesis is interlocked word order. You can find it all throughout the Iliad, or not the Iliad, the Aeneid. And there is also chiasmus, which would be ABBA, not, but here we have synthesis, which is ABAB. Synthesis. Visaiwai goes with Eunonis, Memorem goes with Iram. And another important thing to point out about this passage is the superum, of the gods above. You don't see deorum, but you have superum, which represents the gods above, the ones above. And the thing about this to point out, this should really be superorum. This is a syncopated form of superorum. Okay, so syncopated forms are whenever they take out a part of the word. So, this is what makes it a genitive plural. They take out a part to make it fit the meter or just make the line flow better. So that's called syncopation, shortening the word. And you can see it often with the genitive, like superorum to superum. So that is the first 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of the Aeneid. I will come back and do another video for the next 3 lines, I believe.